If you've been watching the previous videos about proofs, you know that all proofs are going to start out the same way. They're going to start with what we're given. So go ahead and jot down any givens you have. Your reason that you know those are true is because they're given to you. There's nothing that we need to prove about it. They're given to us. This time they've told us that B is the midpoint of two different segments. So like in our previous video, if you watched that one, midpoint's going to mean we're going to have a segment divided into two equal pieces. And so I'm at this point in my proof able to add tick marks to my diagram. I just need a good reason to do that. I can say that AB and BE are congruent to each other because it's the reason that we're going to use is it's the definition of a midpoint. That's what a midpoint does. I can do a very similar thing for segment DB and BC. They're also congruent to each other because it's the definition of a midpoint. So I have two segments that are congruent, and as you can see, I've added some tick marks for those angles as well. The reason that I know those two angles are congruent to each other is not because they look the same. I can't add tick marks just because I want to, but those angles are going to be vertical angles, and I know vertical angles are congruent to each other. So notice too how I labeled the angle. I couldn't just say angle B. There's too many angles there in the center, so I had to use 3 letters to label that angle. Angle ABD, that B has to be in the center, is congruent to angle CBE. And again, the reason is because vertical angles are congruent. Be careful when you write reasons like that down. If all you do is tell me vertical angles, I'm going to say, so what? Make sure you tell me vertical angles are congruent. Tell me what you know about them. Then taking a look at our diagrams, there's no more tick marks we're able to add, but we have enough information now to prove that those triangles are congruent to each other. Using our 5 shortcuts, I can see that this is an example of side, angle, side. I have 2 sides identified and the angle included in between them as well, so that's going to be enough to prove those triangles are congruent.